the new Denver International Airport Commission.
Yeah.
Something way more descriptive instead of, I got this cool idea.
Yeah, the New World Airport Commission.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense. If you look at it without running it together and adding, all these other things to the name, the New World Airport, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense locally.
Yeah,
kind of.
I would have just called it the New Friggin' Airport Commission.
Yeah. Or international.
or about time we got a new airport commission.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, their old airport sucked.
It was not great.
No, it was really bad.
Although, a lot of people claim that it wasn't nearly that bad at all, and so that's fed into conspiracy theories. So they replaced
it was really, really
airport.
awful.
Oh,
it was really awful. I just want to go ahead and go on record and say it was awful.
It was terrible. Noise complaints in the bad snowstorms. I don't remember how many runways it had, but they could operate about 20% of what they were supposed to run.
And of course, Denver, usually has bad weather. And
in the wintertime, it's high up, it's snowy. Yeah.
Well, so this was a fun fact. The layout of the runways was such that they were too close together.
Yep.
So in inclement weather, they could only use one of those two. Mm-hmm. But then also the runways intersected each other at multiple points, so you couldn't have a airplane taking off and landing at the same time. It was basically just like a cross.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like a hash mark
like that.
Is an easy way to think about it.
Yeah, and then they just couldn't use like most of them because the weather was bad.
No.
Yeah. No, they could have continued to use it. They just wouldn't have been a major hub as they are now.
Yeah.
Well, especially in the wintertime. But the thing that I found that I got really excited about at first is, so we've got the Masons are sponsoring part of this, and they're on that dedication stone.
Yeah.
And we've talked about the New World Order and how it's trying to reduce the population to 2 billion, I think is the number.
2 billion seems to be the sweet spot, yeah.
I managed to somehow, I believe, figure out where that number came from.
I like that this is where we're taking this on. In the middle of an episode about the Denver airport, we're gonna myth bust the 2 billion cap.
I
may
stumbled across it. Yeah. No. So I gotta thank the guys at Stuff You Should Know.
Yeah.
Because they did an episode on population control, and that's where I suddenly made the links, though they never actually laid it out. I figured it out. So there's a guy by the name of Thomas Robert Malthus. Mm-hmm. And he wrote of what he called a Malthusian catastrophe, which was overpopulation would lead to famine and death. And this is back in the 1800s. He writes this. I think it was the late 1800s is when he did his research for population control. Mm-hmm. You jump forward to 1968, and I know Joe is looking at me because he knows what's coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's Paul Ehrlich writes The Population Bomb, which is, everybody calls it an alarmist piece of work because the first thing he starts out with saying is that we're all going to die, essentially, saying that the world can't sustain us and 2 billion is the max number and we need to control births and we need to change all this stuff. But somehow, I mean, today most people look at his work and say he's wrong, his math was wrong, he and Malthus were wrong, but somehow that 2 billion got pulled in with the New World Order, and that number always gets drug along when you're talking about the New World Order stuff.
Yeah,
it's all this human carrying capacity. Yeah. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, it's funny. The thing about Ehrlich is that he made a lot of predictions, not just about overpopulation.
None of them were right.
Oh, no, every single one of them was wrong.
One could say he was the John Teeter of
1968.
Yeah,
I mean, so his Malthusianism is still very popular. I mean, there's still people today who are predicting all sorts of dire outcomes, at least in the days of Malthus, the original days of him. I mean, famine was not that uncommon back in his day, so he can be forgiven, I suppose, but some of the people that are still jumping on board some of the bandwagons of the things like, oh my God, peak oil, no, we're not running short anytime soon, things like that. Plenty of food, population. The 2 billion number, The reason I have a problem with the 2 billion number and relating it to the New World Order is the New World Order are these people who are behind it. They're part of our elite. They're part of this probably extremely rich capitalist elite.
Yep.
Well, reducing the population to 2 billion people really doesn't make them any money, I don't think. And that's why the paranoia over this mass reduction in population is ludicrous. Because hey, are we really going to cause our economies to shrink and cause us all to get poorer? Are we really going to do this?
I think that people look at it is if that top echelon of people, these rich guys that are at the top and in control, if the New World Order goes into effect and I don't know how this happens, but suddenly the population is cut to 2 billion. Mm-hmm. Now they're royalty. Mm-hmm. So now they get to make that royalty lineage. So it's not making money in a capitalist sense. They're top dogs, and they're
a pile of cash.
They're going to sit on a pile of cash, and all their descendants are going to sit there. And we're way off topic here, but that's what I found, and I had to bring it up. Is that's where this whole New World Order 2 billion people thing comes from? As best I can tell, this is the first time I've ever been able to put 2 and 2 together on this.
Yeah, it's nobody really knows what the magic number is. I mean, I think the Earth could support tens of billions more people. Well, whether we should or not is, that's debatable.
Well, you know why 2 billion is suspicious, right?
Why?
It's because that's exactly how over budget they went on this project.
Oh my God, you're right.
Oh my God.
So that explains everything. That explains. I mean, they were looking at this and thinking, oh my God, we're not going to go over budget at all. What can we do? I know, an automated luggage system. And let's do something else. But you're going to talk about that later.
Yeah,
we're going to get some weird painting.
There was some, the weird painting. I told you, I already proved they only paid $50 for those paintings.
Next up is the layout of the runways, and all I have to say about that is calm down, you guys. It really doesn't look that much like a swastika. Just calm down. Cool. Next,
draw lines on the airport. And then remove the photo of the airport, and the runways don't look like...
Next up, underground bunkers and tunnels. Okay, so now we're venturing into territory that I didn't get to see with my own 2 eyes because people are the worst, and my security clearance wasn't approved in time.
Yeah. And you probably walked right past a bunch of secret doors.
Yeah, I probably did. And since I didn't get to see it with my own 2 eyes, we're just going to not even talk about this part. Cool? Great.
Really?
Just kidding.
No. I knew you were joking.
There's a tram system that, as far as I can tell, not as far as I can tell, it takes you from one concourse to another. And I couldn't tell if there was a way to walk between concourses. There should be, but I don't think there is.
There has to be.
There should be.
Yeah, you would think.
If the trains go down, you have to have a way for people to walk out.
Yeah, out of the train system, sure, but walk in between concourses, I don't know. It's fine, it doesn't really matter. I didn't want to pour too much stuff into that.
No, well, I'm just thinking is that I've been in airports, like I was in Atlanta a couple months back, and I know that you can get on the train, and it zips you from concourse to concourse in no time flat. But unfortunately, about 10 years prior, I had said, well, I'm used to the Portland International Airport.
Just walk.
They can't be that far. And I decided to walk from one to the other, and it took me 25 minutes.
Yeah. Well, like in LA, you literally can't. You have to get on a bus or the tram, right?
No, you can't walk it at all?
You can't because they're on the other side of the tarmac.
Ah.
So I don't know if it was like that. I didn't get a good sense of that. It's not really that important. The only thing that really stood out to me on the trams, well, actually, that's not true. My guide was telling me about how in the tunnels, on one side of the tunnels, there's these silver pinwheel things, lots of them. And he said to me, well, what are they trying to distract you from? Huh? So I turned, when we saw them, I turned to the other side. It's just wall. It's just concrete. There's nothing there. But the only thing that I did notice...
What do these pinwheel things look like exactly?
They just look like little silver pinwheels. They're just interesting, because the wind...
Were they set in the wall or what?
Yeah, they're a little off the wall.
They're basically, the train goes by, the wind makes them spin, and there's something for you to see. They're installation art.
Mm-hmm.
I see. So, yeah. Did you notice at any point, were you watching the tracks, did you notice like tracks branching off and just going into a blank wall?
Not into a blank wall, but I will say that it did seem like the tram system, there are moments in a subway system, right, that it opens up a little bit and there's all these interchanges. And it seemed a little more complex than necessary for what I deemed to be just a back and forth tram system. But I'm sure there are a lot of reasonable explanations for that, other than we're transporting this car of Illuminati members off into the distance so that they can go to their underground
Chances
bunker.
are good that the tram system station where they do all their maintenance runs off the same line.
And it could be.
Yeah,
and they have to have multiple junctions. I mean, we have a train system here in Portland that I ride every day, and there are all kinds of junctions on that thing. The great thing is it's above ground, and I can see where they go into a big building where they work on them.
Where something's going on.
You don't know what, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for shooting that apart on me.
Yeah.
I totally had that solved.
Oh, they might work on them. I'm just saying that, it might be
No, I've actually been in those trains a lot. Else. They probably don't work on them.
They probably don't. Yeah.
That's a good point, too.
The underground also, there's that fascinating defunct automated baggage system that I mentioned earlier.
Poor grandma's baggage.
Well, theorists suggest, I'm just using the term theorists, I'm not going to preface that with anything, but we can all fill in the blank there, suggest that there's something more nefarious going on down there, mostly because the system cost a bunch of money and never really worked.
Oh, it's not like we've never done that before?
Yeah. No, really. It looks like it was a cool concept, but I'm not totally sure why it never really worked. There's a lot of stuff flying around the internet about why
tons of mechanical issues.
Yeah.
Bad design, I would say.
Some people say that it was too complex. Others say that it was a failed concept from the start. Still others say it's covering up something sinister, like an underground base for anything ranging from the American government to the Illuminati to, aliens.
Wait, did you just say the Illuminati?
I did.
Are you sure that's wise to bring those guys up?
We'll be okay.
I think we're going to be okay.
Can we get back to the automated baggage system real quick?
Yeah. Do you have more things to say?
No. I just have a very simple personal observation, which is if anybody were to build that baggage system today, it would work. You know why? Because we actually have decent computers that have good laser scanners for reading and barcodes and all that.
Yeah, robotics are a lot better than they were back in those days.
I don't know how that thing figured out what went where, but I'm guessing that was part of the problem, is it was probably a barely advanced past prototype stage thing, and that's why it never made it.
Well, I mean...
But they couldn't afford to pull it all out of the tunnel.
Honestly, though, I don't think that the computer system would have been really the big problem. Yes, it's, 20 some odd years ago at this point. You're welcome, everyone. The 1995 was like more than 20 years ago. But
there's people that next year will get to drink. Yeah.
Okay, but scanners still existed. Computers were okay. It's not as though this is a highly complex task that we were asking computers and machines to do. It's fairly rudimentary. It should have been possible. It truly should have been possible. But for whatever reason, it wasn't.
But
I'm gonna. I was about to launch into a host of, it's got to be this and that and this and that and this and all these details.
Oh, it absolutely
We're not going to go into that.
No.
My answer is it's simple as embedding RFID tags in those silly little baggage tags that you get now. That solves the entire problem.
Absolutely. But just, the simple idea of putting a scanner, they all have those barcodes on them anyways. That's how they do it right now anyways. It just takes the human element out of it.
Pick up the tag and scan it.
Should have been possible, but for whatever reason it wasn't.
No, actually, humanity has designed far more complex systems. Look at the moon landings, for Christ's sakes. So it's possible.
Yeah.
But as we said, or as I said earlier, so they built all these tunnels. The tunnels can't be used for anything else because they couldn't afford to pull all the the stuff out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were crammed with all these parts that were thousands of dollars, and you've abandoned the idea. You're not going to spend thousands of dollars a day for dudes to go in there with wrenches and pull it all out.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and they might actually be thinking at some point we can rehabilitate this whole thing.
Yeah.
With some advances in technology, we can actually make it work.
It's possible.
Yeah.
There's also several very unsubstantiated claims that
What do you mean by unsubstantiated?
that when DIA was first being built, 5 buildings were built somehow wrong and just buried.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, hey, you guys, you screwed the pooch. Bury these buildings.
Just bury them. Instead of tearing them down, they just buried them and then built the current airport on top of it.
Do you know how deep of a hole you'd have to dig or how much ground you'd have to stack on top to bury a single-story building?
I don't think these were not single-story buildings, were they?
They weren't single stories,
but that's my point.
Yeah, I mean,
right. But on top of that, parts of the current DIA are underground.
Yeah.
So you'd have to bury it deep enough, and all while nobody saw it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Where do you get all the dirt for that? Because I mean, if you just bury the buildings, then what you've got is this big old hill right there in the middle of it, right next to your airport, right?
Right.
Which I can't see in any pictures or aerials or anything.
No, although there is that suspicious landfill not so far away.
Oh, yeah,
they could have just covered it with trash.
There is
Did you find anything
No,
on the
I'm
landfill?
just being a jerk. No.
I looked for information on the landfill, and I couldn't find it on the aerials.
Everybody screams about the landfill, and I couldn't find anything.
And I was there. Like, I didn't notice a giant landfill, although, like, I don't...
53 square miles, it could be pretty far out there. But
I guess, but I was around Denver and the airport for a while, so doing research, obviously.
Yeah, doing lots of research and drinking, but...
Yeah. Apparently the claims come from a quote-unquote construction company whistleblower, which, sure.
Yeah, this is one of those things that I think is one of those ones that I think people make up something that's just so preposterous that, how could anybody possibly believe it? And they just put it on the internet and see who goes with it. Some people have.
I just don't understand how that is possible to raise the grade so much that you can bury a single or multi-story building.
Well, I guess I don't want to be a downer, but there is a news channel that's based in Denver that makes a habit of debunking DIA myths.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And this is one of the myths that they took on. So they were granted the access that I was denied because bureaucracy, man. Damn the man. They got to take their cameras down under to see what's really going on. And long story short, nothing.
Wait, were they in the baggage tunnels or?
Yeah, in all the tunnels.
The buried buildings?
There were no buried buildings.
No buried buildings?
No. But they were in all the tunnels under there, and it's pretty boring. It's eerie, for sure, but there's not really anything going on down there.
But of course, you've got to expect that the Illuminati and the New World Orderlies and all those people are probably
They're orderlies?
Yeah, the New World Orderlies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, you got to expect that these people are very adept at creating things like false walls and hidden
I guess
doorways.
in fairness, right, it would be a good tactic to say, oh, yeah, you can come down
Come
and
on down
see.
and look, yeah.
There's nothing down here.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that door? Oh, that's an emergency exit.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It'll sound an alarm. Don't go through there. Don't do it.
Yeah, I know.
So in fairness,
TSA only is spray painted.
Yeah, like just written in Sharpie on it.
I love it.
Do not enter on like a piece of printer paper taped to the wall.
Yeah. I would. Yeah, it would be really funny if you worked for the airport. Before you take them down to the tunnels, you take some sort of a fine tool to cut what looks like the outline of a door, on the side of it, and all that. And then what you do is you have what appears to be a nameplate or something like that. You make a little shadow of that, and then you have that pried off, and everything like that. Just see if they notice it. And then if they do, it's just like, that's nothing.
That's right out of the Scooby-Doo
episode,
buddy.
Yeah,
it totally is.
I never watched Scooby-Doo.
Uh-huh.
That explains so many things about you.
I know.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
this is one of those stories that just it's so hard because there's so many things, and I'm using air quotes here. There's things that are mingled together. I don't know. It leaves a funny taste in my mouth. I don't know how to approach this one or what to say on it.
Yeah, I don't think there's very much to say about it.
No, I gotta say too that people be more discriminating in your mystery. This is just not a great. I mean, there's so much ink spilled over this mystery or mysteries, I guess, and there's so many better mysteries to spill ink over. Dudes, stop wasting your time. Stop wasting valuable ones and zeros.
I think, the thing, like I said earlier, the thing is, to me, is that I do think that if each of these, mysteries were all separated out into different, that's nothing. What are you talking about? But the fact that they're all there, one half of my brain wants to say, well, yeah, I mean, it's a little weird. On the other hand, I want to say it's not that weird.
But the grouping of circumstances that happen to be odd together, I admit it's weird. But the problem is it then spawns so many other little urban myths around it. There's a myth, if I can't remember, was it the Queen or the President?
No, Queen.
It was the Queen of England was in Denver at some
buying
time.
land all around it.
Yeah. Well, go figure. Their money is tied up in real estate. It's an airport. What typically goes up around airports? Businesses! Service the airport or use the airport. It totally makes sense that they'd be buying that. Mm-hmm. But, oh no, that's so that they can rush the Queen there and in case of a nuclear event and stuff her in a tunnel.
Yeah, there was a thing about the asteroid too, or the comet, I mean. And I was going to actually make notes about this, but I figured you would include it in your script, and so I didn't bother. But the comet was, we'll call it Comet
A. B.
Comet A, yeah, Comet A23.
No, AUAG.
Yeah, AUAG. It was due to come to within 22 miles of the Earth's surface, according to one of the pages that was out there, on the date of December, I think, 27th, 2011, something like that. And coincidentally, President Obama was in the Denver airport that same day because just in case there was an impact, it's like there's massive bomb shelters right there. That's another thing is that the underground buildings and everything. Some of them say that there's this massive bomb shelter down there for all the elites and everything.
Yeah.
But of course, the comet actually didn't come it passed the Earth months before that, and it didn't come 22 miles of our surface because we all would have heard about that.
Yes.
It was 22 million miles away from our surface. So
there was one thing where there was some, there were coordinates that were released in conjunction with some huge conspiracy something, and everybody was saying, well, the coordinates are exactly where the Denver airport was, but the coordinates were released 70 years prior, and they actually are 55 miles away from the airport. It's just, if there's somebody, I think it was the PR person for the Denver airport is quoted as saying, if there's a conspiracy theory, it's linked to the Denver airport. And I think that's true.
I would not actually be surprised if that person or maybe persons working for the Denver airport are putting this stuff out. It's got to be fun as hell.
Probably.
You're going to work at this great new airport, and then you have to wait a year and a half for your job, and you're angry at it. So, I'm just going to come up, oh, well, I noticed this was weird. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
It's not costing them any business.
No. If anything, it's gaining business.
Yeah. The rest of us still have to fly through there because every airline goes through it. Yeah.
So, if you want to read some of the links for our research or see any of the pictures that we were talking about, that will all be on our website, which is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. You can listen to and download our episodes there. You can also listen to and download our podcast on iTunes, which is probably what you're doing. If you do, don't forget to subscribe. Also, leave us a comment and a rating.
A good rating?
It doesn't matter what kind of rating. Joe likes good ones. I don't really care.
I prefer them.
I just don't read them.
Yeah, I don't either anymore.
But we read the comments.
People are mean.
Yeah. People are nice, too, though. So
that's the hard part. Gotta be a good... Oh!
Yeah. So you can also stream us on literally anything that streams we're on now at this point. You can connect with us on Facebook. We have the group and the page, so find us, friend us, like us, as Joe says. You can also follow us on Twitter, Thinkin' Sideways.
Don't forget, of course, we've got the t-shirts and everything.
Oh, we have merchandise, t-shirts, phone cases. I have a phone case. It's pretty awesome. I think we have a nightlight.
We have a nightlight and a coffee mug.
And a coffee mug. You can find a link to that on our on our website.
It's on our website.
Not on our Facebook.
Well, it's above the donate button.
It's right above the donate button on the right sidebar. And then I guess the last bit is if you want to talk to us about this or any other mystery, you have suggestions, you're an expert in something that you want to contribute to the show, send us an email, thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. Well, I guess with that, I'm going to fly on out of here.
I knew you were going to say that. So corny.
You are.
I'm just going to say toodaloo.
I booked a ticket.
Oh, God, that's the worst.
Worse than fly on out of here.
Yeah.
No.
You guys, just say goodbye. You notice you can't spell dedication without dead?
I think that has to be an Easter egg. Thinking Sideways is not supported by a desert native in Hip Waders. Instead, it's supported by the generous donations of our listeners on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/thinkingsideways to learn more. And thanks.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
What?
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Well, hi there. Welcome to another episode of Thinking Sideways. I'm Joe, joined as always by
Steve.
This week, we're going to be talking about the disappearance of Devin. What happened to Devin from Thinking Sideways? She was supposed to be at the recording studios at 7 p.m. It's 7:05 and she's not here. All right, theories. She ran away to start a new life. Can you get that?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry I'm late.
Oh.
I was tweeting.
Oh.
Sorry. Okay, sorry.
Ah.
Okay. Hey.
Well, time to find a new mystery. Hang on a second while I go to the Google. And please enjoy this really restful elevator music. Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Thinking Sideways. I'm Joe, joined as always by
Devin.
And
Steve.
This week we're going to talk about a few mysteries surrounding Queen Elizabeth I of England. Some of you guys may have heard of her.
Once or twice.
Yeah.
I guess.
These are a couple of different mysteries that have been suggested to us by so many people that I'm not going to give you guys a shout out except to say thanks for the suggestions.
Well, there's a lot of mysteries around her.
Yeah.
There are some mysteries around her. One of the first mysteries that she was involved in was the misplaced colony of Roanoke.
Misplaced.
Also known as a colony we can't seem to put our hands on at the moment.
It's the best
The colony
name
of nothing
ever.
to see here.
Yeah, exactly.
Please move along.
Yeah. Don't mind the alien burn marks in the ground or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But she was involved in that because she wanted to get England a toehold in the New World. All the Europeans were doing that. It was all the rage back in those days.
Still is.
Yeah.
She granted a charter to Sir Walter Raleigh to found a settlement in what would become Virginia, which is named after Elizabeth because she was the Virgin Queen. Yeah.
She was.
Yeah, other nicknames.
Apparently.
Yeah, Good Queen Bess, and I think she had one or two other nicknames.
She had a lot of them.
Yeah, she did. And but another mystery about her is people have been wondering for a long, long time, they still are today, is did she ever have a child? And
That is one of them.
It's
it's a big one, yeah.
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 And I'm just going to jump in here real quick and say that historic mysteries like this, it will probably not surprise any of our listeners, bother me a little bit. I am not super stoked on the idea of the public fascination of, was this woman a virgin? Was she not? Did she have a child? Did she not? Though I understand in this one circumstance that it is of historic significance and totally worth an episode. So if I seem a little cranky, that's why. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, well, is it?
Soapbox away.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, expect a little crankiness there. But it is kind of something to ponder because she said she was going to remain unmarried and a virgin, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But
she made a big deal out of it.
Yeah, the royal courts back in those days were kind of libidinous places.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of hanky-panky going on. So
yeah,
how did she manage to pull that one off?
Yeah.
I got to be honest with the stuff that I've read about the things that went on in court and all of the political dealings. I know I probably said this before, and I'll probably say it again. I don't even understand how the royalty managed to exist with all of the games they were playing.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, I don't understand how the political system in our own country, which is pretty similar, has managed to get along as long as it has.
Yeah. So luckily the mystery that we're talking about is, did Elizabeth have a kid, not was she a virgin, which is one that people have suggested and I have outright refused every single time because I don't care to talk about that. But we are going to talk about today, right? Did she have a kid or not?
Whether she had a kid or not.
So let's get to it.
Let's solve this. Yeah. But before I get into the mystery thing, I think I should give everybody a little background on Elizabeth I.
Yeah, in case you haven't heard of her.
Yeah, that's a little history lesson here. It'll be brief. Don't worry. Don't go away.
Well, I watched The Tudors, so I know all of this.
Oh, okay. Elizabeth was born...
It's the same as Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Real history. Documentary.
Yeah, with real dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, England always had that giant ice wall, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Sweet. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so she was born 1533, the daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, who was his second wife.
Henry VIII, I am.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys have all heard of Henry VIII and his 6 wives. But if you haven't, here's a quick rundown. Henry was the second monarch in the Tudor line, and he and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, had a daughter who would later become Queen Mary I. And then Henry got impatient with Catherine because she had actually 6 children, but only one of them survived. 3 of them were stillborn, and 2 of them died shortly after childbirth. And so she hadn't given him a son, and he wanted a royal son.
Really, really strangely valued.
It was, very much at the time, yeah. So he decided to move on, and so he found this new girl, Anne Boleyn, and married her. There was one hitch, though. He needed to persuade the Pope to annul his